Hi everyone, I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks. Welcome everyone to episode 26. We are in our Final Fantasy IX series. Episode 6 is where we started out with the series, so if you're new and joining us and kind of wanted to start off from the beginning, episode 6 is where you want to go. But for the rest of us, and if you want to stick with it, here we are. So we left off in Alexandria. We just finished, basically, I don't know, kind of doing some of the side things. We did Hapal racing. This is obviously after everyone gets back from the Aoife tree, and Queen Braun died, and so we're kind of heading into Dagger's coronation to be the new queen. Yeah, we did some things again, Hapal racing. We went through a couple of the ATEs, but we had to end it there because there's just so much to do, and we're still going to be mostly in Alexandria for most of this episode as well. So where we left off was we went into the square, we watched the Artemisian ATE, the to fly high AT, and then that's kind of it. So there's some other things to do here, yes?
Yeah, so we finished off, on the Hapal racing and all that kind of stuff, and there's a whole bunch of other things to do. Like you can head back to, you can go do some shopping. So
Yep.
over at Doug's item shop, I don't know if this is the first time that they're actually selling remedies, but now they're selling remedies, and of course that's a really nice item to have on
Yeah.
hand just in case. On top of that, you can head on over to the weapon shop, and there's a whole bunch of new things to get now. You've got the twist headband, got the ice lance for Freya, and of course, this is kind of weird because we haven't had Freya,
Been a
in
long
the
time.
team for a long time. Yeah, since pretty much last time we left Alexandria.
Yeah.
So that's pretty nice, and you can also buy the ice brand. You can buy the gold helm, and another thing I just thought was noteworthy is that you can buy pinwheels. And you might not really know what pinwheels are, how you can use them, but basically they're an item that you can throw with Amaranth, and they're
Yes.
pretty good. So they have attack power of about 26, and we'll have to test this. But in my experience, it does quite a bit of damage. It does like 1,000, 1,200 damage or something like
Okay.
that. So it's really nice to have those.
Yeah, and we've been able to buy pinwheels for a while now, and I just don't know if we can use them. I mean, we just were able to use Amaranth at the Aoife tree, and he doesn't have throw, so I'm not sure, like, or does he have throw? Is it like a specific item, or
No, I
is
think
it
it's
just
an
always
8.
there?
I believe it's an 8.
Yeah, I guess it's a little different at the Aoife tree when it did it because, don't even need to worry about that. You can just use life on
Exactly.
everything, and so maybe that's why I didn't pay attention. But regardless, yeah, you can still buy those, as Alex mentioned, the Twist Handman. There's been a few things, I guess a few item slots that we haven't really had anything new in a long time. And that's, I mean, wrists, especially. We haven't had any new wrists in a very long time. And
Yeah.
kind of the headpieces too. So as Alex said, Twist Headband, it's a strength-based one, so Zidane, there you go. Ice Lance is
Hmm.
new. The other things you already have ice brands, you already have a gold helm or one or two, but you just can now buy them. So that's
Yeah.
what we have there. There are a few little jokers in there that you will have recognized: Zanero, Bonero, and Gennaro. We will get back to that later because as of right now in this moment of
Yeah.
the progression, you can't do anything. You can talk to them, but nothing happens. And we'll get to what will happen with them a little bit later
Yeah.
as we kind of progress through the story.
I just love those names. So it's like they're all
Yeah,
identical. Zanero, Bonero, and Gennaro. It's like
Gennaro,
who the
yeah.
heck are these guys?
They all
But
have like little
you know,
claw
they're
hands.
yeah, they're part of Tantalus, and we haven't seen them in a long time.
Yeah.
So
From the weapon shop, you can just go right into the synthesis shop there, and we do have some new things. So the first thing you'll probably notice is Angel Bless, which is another just weapon for Zidane. I'm still very far behind, like they
yeah,
keep piling up on me here, so that's fantastic. But a very interesting, you and I were talking about this, I think yesterday, very interesting ability here that it gives, which is Thievery. And you
yeah,
looked up what that actually is, right?
yeah. Well, thievery. is a really nice ability. I mean, I think it's one of Zidane's best abilities because it does damage based on Zidane's speed. But really, the most important thing is basically it does damage based on the amount of successful steals that he, and I didn't know this, but it includes Cinna, Blank, and Marcus.
Yeah.
So all of the steals that you've essentially done in this whole game contribute to the damage of Thievery. One of the nice things about Thievery that'll definitely come into play later, it's not really that great right now, depending on how many times you've been stealing, but later on in the game, it's a very useful ability because it's ranged and it does a fixed amount of damage. So basically, it ignores defense, which is
Yeah.
really, really nice for certain enemies.
And I'll have to test this out too because I haven't really done very much stealing outside of the bosses, and so it'll be kind of interesting to see how much damage it does at this point with only just stealing from the bosses. But it's kind of an interesting thing. It's similar to Frog Drop with Kina, you know, how it does damage based on how many frogs you've caught. So it's kind of one of those things. But yeah, I'll be curious to see, you know, and right now, yeah, maybe attacking might just do more, but we'll have to test it out.
Probably.
Another
Yeah, I
note
think
that I do have to say with this is you do need a Mithril Dagger and a Gladius for Angel Bless. Now, if you're like me, I mean, I've been kind of buying some things here and there, but I've been kind of poor for a while now. I had to use my last Mithril Dagger here to synthesize that. You can still buy them at the weapon shop, so, you know,
yeah.
if it's kind of like I went ahead and bought some more of them because I don't like not having, you know, certain things because you never know when you're going to need it again.
Yeah, it's definitely getting to that point in the game where these items are starting to cost a lot. I mean, Mithril daggers are what, like 980?
Yeah.
Gladius is about 2300 gil. So
Yes.
that's really starting to get up there. As far as some other notable items at the synthesis shop, you can now synthesize the black belt.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty nice item. We already have one from the Black Mage Village. That was the one where you told the shopkeeper that you take the usual. He gets out from behind the desk, and then you can go up and snag the black belt. But
Right.
now you can synthesize them, and the nice thing about this is the two items that it requires, I think you can just buy outright, you know, here and most of the shops is Twist Headband and Survival Vest.
Yeah, and you probably already have a couple of survival vests and twist headbands. I think it was only like 1,000, so it
Yeah,
really
like 1200
wasn't
something.
not that of expensive of an accessory.
Right.
And well, and some other ones too. There's the anklet, which you can now synthesize. We talked about it. The reflect ring has been in the synthesis shop for a while, but it's needed things that we couldn't, you know, have. So now you can synthesize the anklet. So I think you can do the reflect one if you really want, but it's there. I mean, it's a pretty decent accessory. Has decent stats. Another one that is kind of notable. Interesting thing here though, because what it needs is an elixir. Not a big deal. You should have quite a decent stock of those going on. But the other thing it needs is a moonstone, and we know we've only gotten, I think, 2 at this point, and there are not very many in the game at all. So, yeah, you might want to hold off on doing that right now, right?
Yeah, the thing about the Pearl Rouge is you can buy it at the auction house. And it will be more expensive, but I think that's the better way of acquiring this item because, first of all, or accessory, I should say, the abilities that it has, I don't really think they're that great. I can't
No.
remember off the top of my head what they are, but it's not something that you're gonna like. You know,
You,
you can go without this item for sure.
yeah.
But like Mark was saying, the elixir, you'll probably have about 5 or 6 of those at least in your inventory, so that's not a problem. But the moonstone, there are only a fixed amount of moonstones in the game, and if you didn't get the one at the very beginning from Alexandria where you got 100 nobles impressed and
Yeah.
Queen Braun impressed, and you only really have one, and I'm not sure, but I know that you need one for the friendly monster side quest later, so if you only have one, I wouldn't use it for this.
Yeah.
Just to be safe, because I know that for one of those you have to use a moonstone. So
And
yeah,
I mean, so the importance with this item too, right? The pearl is it's used for some other synthesis items, right?
yeah, I think so.
So it's kind of like you might want to just like we said, I mean, it's not like a fantastic accessory that's gonna like, oh, I want to use this over everything else.
Yeah, not
So
at
it's
all.
probably just better just to hold off until you need it for something else, and then that way
Yeah.
you can just kind of knock it all out at once.
However, one accessory that you may want to get for a certain little optional fight coming up here is the feather boots. That's a really nice item because it comes with auto float,
Yes.
which means that if you have that equipped, or if you have auto float, you're going to be immune to earth-based attacks.
Yep.
So earthquake and all that kind of stuff, and those are going to start coming into play really, really soon here. And it's actually pretty easy to synthesize as well. It just requires the magician shoes and a phoenix pinion.
Yeah, which you should
And
have plenty of both.
exactly, in magician shoes you can synthesize as many of those as you want right now. So
Yeah. All right. Well, some other things to do here in the square is you can head into the inn. It just has like some additional kind of little story here for you if you want. You walk in and you might actually recognize there's a man having like a discussion with the innkeeper about how there's no rooms or the price was up or it's something like that.
yeah.
But if you pay attention and kind of really look at it, it doesn't say it, but it's actually the Dally mayor, and he's there with his family. And you do
Yeah.
get some additional thing where you can talk to the kid, and it's like, is this embarrassing? And you're like, yeah, it's embarrassing. And no, it's not. Or
Yeah,
something.
that's right. You have an option, right, of being like, it was embarrassing or no, not really. But
Yeah.
it's always funny to say, yeah, it was embarrassing, and then she's like, yeah, right? This
Yeah.
sucks.
It's so. Keep this in mind, though. This is kind of a smaller detail I think many people overlook, and it will come into play here in our next episode. So just kind of keep that in mind that the Dally Mayor is here in Alexandria right now. So
Yeah.
the last kind of thing, you will have to go to the dock later just to progress the story. But if you want to go there right now, there is 4,000 gil, or it's about 4,000 gil, and a phoenix pinion. It's kind of like on the
Yeah.
bottom of the stairs behind the soldiers. I mean, you'll find it. Just kind of hug that wall. But
And that can be pretty nice if you run out of gil
Yeah.
to buy all those accessories and items and things like that. So,
well, and good point too, actually, because Stiltskin is here. So don't use all of your money on all this
Yeah.
stuff. You want to at least reserve about 1,000, at least 1,000 gil
Yeah.
to be safe for some other things. So just keep that in mind. If you're getting low, just sell off a couple ethers. That'll get you right there. So all right. Well, before we head on, we are going to do our bold move. So let's do it. All right, man. Let's have you start us off. What you got?
all right. So in Final Fantasy VIII, so do you remember that part when you pass the seed exam, right? And then
Okay.
you're at like the dance, the graduation dance, and all that stuff. And then Quistis has
I know
Squall
where
to
this
go
is
over.
going. Okay.
Okay, yeah, to go over to the secret area, blah blah blah. And then so Quistis is like talking about all her struggles as an
Yep.
instructor and all this stuff. And Squall just tells her, it's like, well, she's just like, "Are you listening to me?" And he's like, "Why don't you go talk to a wall?" Ooh.
Bold move, Scroll.
That is bold.
That's also brutal and savage too.
Oh man, that is like one of the most brutal lines in all of Final Fantasy.
Dude, he
Had
is
to do that one.
so mean to Quistis. Poor
Oh, yeah.
Quistis. Oh,
So what
man.
you got?
All right, well, mine's actually in Final Fantasy VIII as well.
Nice.
In it, we're gonna head to Timber here when you're first meeting the Timber Wolves. And, when it comes, they're a resistance group, they gotta put in some work. It's a pretty bold move of Zone, though, to keep faking tummy aches anytime he has to do something. It's like, okay, man, no one is believing you. Oh, ow, my stomach. And, just imagine it really. Everyone probably just looks at him and is like, dude, what?
I love.
Whatever.
Yeah, I love when like anything serious comes up. He goes, "Ouch, my stomach," and then they all
Ouch.
do like a little face palm, like shake their head thing. Like,
Yeah.
dude, this guy is weak.
Yeah.
Man.
And he's in a resistance. He's like one of the leaders of a resistance group, and he's just
Yeah.
complaining about tummy aches all the time. Bold move.
Good. Nice.
All right. Well, let's head back to Alexandria and see what other mischief we can get into. So pretty much there's not much else to do at this point. Finish off with Paul Racing if you haven't. You'll want to just go down the alley that we know. I mean, we're Vivi. It's very reminiscent here of what we did in the very
Yeah.
beginning. There's Marcus and Blink. Do not talk to them and do not go too close to them. I think it actually
That's right.
progresses if you just get too close. Instead,
Yeah.
stay to the right side past them because you want to go back to the steeple or the church or bell tower, whatever it was. You want to go
Yeah.
back to that area. I will say, some pretty funny conversations here, just little tiny ones with the people. I like to talk to everyone. There's the
yeah.
little boy again. He's lost his stupid cat mittens. Like, dude,
Oh, God.
you need to keep that cat on a leash or something, or just give up.
Seriously.
But you don't have to
Yeah.
go find it this time. But there's an old guy who asks if you've met Regent Sid or something like that, and just
Oh, the one by the boat
yeah.
on the docks. Yeah.
And then there's another one who wants to become an air, a pilot for the airships or something. I don't know, but regardless, it's a little bit. You want to head into the steeple though, and as I mentioned before, there is Stiltskin. You can get a Phoenix Pinion, a High Potion, and an Elixir, all for 777 gil. So
Man.
once again, pick those up. It's a steal. I mean, that Elixir alone,
Crazy good deal.
fantastic right there.
Yeah.
And then there is Kupo the Moogle. So here we go. We've held on.
Man.
We've held on to this letter for the entire Our Continent. It's all wrinkled and dirty. It's got
seriously.
Soul Cage's blood all over it. I mean, who knows? But you can finally give it, and you learn that it's Kupo is who what we're calling him. The letter to Kupo is his older brother. There you go. And
that was the one in Fossil Roo, right?
Yeah, the one
this goes like way back.
way back. That was like the first thing to the Outer Continent. And then I mean, it's been a very long time. So you finally get rid of that one. If you kind of, you have to go back and forth. You know how to work the system with Mognet. He has also received a letter from some Moogle named Magrika, who he says is the most beautiful Moogle in the world. So man, he's getting lucky. and you find that he actually got it from Artemisian, and so it's like, wow, he's finally doing his darn job, man, for us. And we're sitting here having to lug these letters around, and here he got one from him.
We saw that ATE, right, with Artemisian.
Yep.
And how and it's interesting. I don't know how you feel about this, but with the Mognet thing, we've come full circle now, right?
Yeah, well,
So,
because Kupo's the
very
very
beginning-
first one that we got a letter from.
Kupo, and like you said, the Kupo to Kupo, and now we're back here. But another thing that you could do, and we talked about this way back on like the first episode or the second episode, you can also go back up the ladder to the top of the bell tower
Yeah.
and ring the bell, and you get to steal more of Hippol's cards.
Hey man, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, maybe I should get a better hiding spot for my cards.
Seriously. He just keeps trying. It's like, oh, well, somebody stole it the first time. I guess I'll try it again. But this time it's really, really, like, worth it. You get 2 cards, but they're both really decent.
Yeah.
Shiva and Ramu. And
Yeah.
so this may be a spot that you might want to make a save at Kupo and then reset until you get the cards with the right arrows that you would like. But in general, they're
and the
pretty-
strength and stuff.
Yeah, because like what we kind of briefly talked about is it seems like the more arrows you get, the weaker they are. So it's kind of a trade-off of, you definitely want more arrows to cover more bases, but at the same time, the attack power, the defense tends to be a little bit weaker. So
Yeah.
in general, they're pretty good. I think correct me if I'm wrong on this, but they usually have like 5 magic attack or somewhere around there.
Yeah,
3
well,
magic
we have
attack.
written down 3 to 5, and it's just that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think my Shiva, I'm not too worried about it. It had 3, and then Rama had, I think, 4. So yeah, it's about that. And also, just go back to the Mognet real quick. You did not get anything new from Kupo, so right now you do not have any letters. You're 100% fully caught up. And once you go get those cards, that's it for here. And go ahead, head out, and really all there is left to do is go to the alleyway and talk to Marcus and Blank. And Blank has a great idea.
Yeah.
He wants Vivi to go ahead and head in first. And Marcus just says, bro, because he knows why. And
Exactly. So, as it turns out, they're late again to Ruby's play, and she is furious. So, their whole plan, or at least Blank's plan, was to try and get Vivi to come, to go down there first, and then basically, that way, she wouldn't be as upset or something like that. And she's happy to see Vivi and everything like that. But then basically after that, she's all blank. Talk to you in a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think it was well, yeah, Blank knew that she was gonna yell and Vivi went in there. He took the brunt of it. He got knocked down
Yeah.
because he was so scared. And then
That's
and then
right.
there and she doesn't really know who he is, but Cinna's like, "Oh, hey Vivi." And he's like, "Oh, hey, hello Uncle Cinna." He's like,
Uncle
"I'm
Sam?
not old enough to be your uncle."
Yeah.
He gets all
Wouldn't know it.
yeah, not with that grizzled face of his, but
Seriously.
so there's some story here. It's just basically about Ruby's play, and she's excited that Vivi wants to see it. There's a couple more words as you said. She says blank, see you later, and then it goes to Dagger. It goes to her room. Steiner's there. Dagger asks him like, "Hey, I want to see Zidane." He's like, no, pretty much. And then Beatrice comes in. She tells her no also. But also Doc Tot comes in and he's like, hey, it's time to get dressed. Here you go. And he also gives you some pretty cool items. You get an opal, a topaz, and an amethyst, which all have this different sums. One, I think it's Ifrit, Shiva, and
Atomos.
Atomos. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, and he said, it was like as he was given those, he briefly just said, "These are the Eidolons that Queen Braun
yep,
forcefully extracted from you." And then he's just like, "You know what? Forget the past. Here you go.
Here you
Relearn
go.
your Eidolons."
Yep.
And so, yeah, as far as Dagger's concerned, we got a lot of abilities to learn now.
Yeah,
So,
we're these accessories, man, are starting to pile up on us here.
exactly.
Then it pretty much goes to Aiko. So we're kind of, we're jumping around to all the different characters and stuff. Aiko wants to write a love letter. She says now is her chance. Now that Dagger's out of the picture, is her chance to win over Zidane. So she wants to write a love letter, and she's in the castle. She's kind of right below the spiral staircase under Dagger's bedroom, so to speak. And Doc Tot comes down, man. This is just hilarious, right? She needs help writing a letter. She's 6 years old, all right? I mean, I can understand that. And she sees him, and he's like, he looks like the bookish type. And now she's saying this all out, and Doc Tot says, he's such a good-hearted man. He thinks it's all hilarious, too. And so he's going along with it. He's like, so why do you say that? So here are the three things, everyone. If you want to look like a bookish person, maybe you have a date coming up, maybe you're making a new, dating app profile. Here you go. This is how you look bookish. First, you need to have a beard, okay? That's the only way. Second, you need to have a nerdy hat.
Yeah, like a top hat.
Which is nerdy, apparently.
or a fedora.
Yeah, there you go. So a couple options. And then the last thing you need to look like a bookish person is thick eyeglasses. So there you are. So according to Aiko, that will make you look like a bookish person.
Yeah. Well, she was right, to be fair.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, he's finding it really funny. He's like, you certainly don't hold back what you think, do you? You just say what you want to say. You say everything unfiltered.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, he agrees to help her out with that. And, but he's also kind of deep in thought when he sees Aiko because he notices that she has a horn.
Yeah.
And he starts thinking to himself,
well, and she tells him where she's from.
That's right. Yeah, she's like, I'm from the village of Medain Sari. And he's like, Medain Sari? It's like the lost village of the summoners? Nobody lives out there, he's just thinking. And we get a little bit more information on Dagger's past, right?
Yeah, he kind of goes in lost in thought, and it kind of like it goes to like a different screen and fades out, like kind of shows like a little boat approaching, and he's like recollecting what happened with Dagger when she came to Alexandria in the boat. Her, we know now that she was in the boat with her real mom, and her real mom died, and apparently we get a little more info now too, because apparently there was an actual Princess Garnet, and she died also, but Dagger looked exactly like the princess, is what Doc Tot says, the recently dead princess. Only she had a horn, and so the king had the horn removed, and the queen decided to take her in and make her their daughter. And so that's like kind of the full circle now of what happened. How exactly did Dagger go from here to becoming a princess? And so that was kind of cool. If it really filled it in for us.
It's really interesting though when you think about it, because the very first scene in the game is that part with Dagger and her biological mother in the boat, in the storm and everything like that. And you think about that had like no relevance at the beginning, and then we learned a little bit more, and then things really started to ramp up at Madain Sari. We learned that that was actually her in the boat. We learned about the eye in the sky, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's really interesting that now we know that she is not the actual heir to the throne, and that
Yep.
she was from the village of Summoners, Madain Sari, and she originally had a horn.
And she
So
yeah, and she had a horn. It was just removed, so that kind of yeah fills in why what happened to her horn, and so just really kind of cool. We've been waiting a long time for some info,
exactly.
and we're getting it, so that's cool. So, anyways, Doc Tot does write Aiko's love letter, right? And she's off to deliver it to Zidane. And lo and behold, here comes Baku out of the kitchen and knocks her like off the balcony. And she's like, she's always stuck by her wings, right?
Her wings, yeah.
And dude, he is just Baku is something else in this game, right? He's just like, oh, you're stuck up there. Blah. He's just laughing about it.
Yeah,
And
I love the laugh.
just yeah, I know, right? It just to kind of fill in here, obviously it's all hysterical. We can't say it all, but she essentially just wants him to deliver the letter to Zidane. So it's what I'm coining now is HumeNet. It's like Mognet, but it's HumeNet now. Baku has the letter. He's like, all right, I'll deliver it, and he walks off. And I guess Aiko's just gonna be laying there. But he doesn't even have it for that long because it shows him continuing on to the little boats, and here comes Steiner, and he says he is thankful to them for what they've did, but at the same time, the palace has no room for thieves, right? He still just sees them as thieves. It boils down to, hey, yes, you did save the princess. Oh, yes, you did save us, but you're still thieves.
Yep. And you cannot be outside of the castle. You can't even be near the castle. So, and then it was at that point where Baku is just like, all right, I get it. Enough of your self-righteousness. And then he drops the letter. You see it drop and everything.
Yeah.
After that, he gets on the boat, and the letter's just laying there. So, good job, Baku.
Yeah, and Steiner leaves too, but lo and behold, here comes Beatrice. And she's like, and she heard Steiner, so she's like, I heard him yelling. She finds the letter, so here we go. It's starting to get crazy. She thinks it is from Steiner. Essentially, what this letter does say is it just says like, at midnight, meet where they're at right now at like the docks, and so that's what we know right now. It kind of goes now to Zidane, right? Again, we're jumping here. It goes to Zidane back into the pub, and he's still kind of just like he can't get over Dagger, right? He's like, I can't start my day without her, and all this. He's saying it all out loud, and then walks in Ruby and Blank and Marcus, and they're all like, dude, like, get over it and go see her, essentially, is what it is. Vivi also comes in and asks, like, hey, can we please go see her? And you do. And one other person comes in, though, and it's Baku. I guess I kind of got the order out of here, but, Baku does come in. Zidane's like, yo, let me just join Tantalus. Let's go steal stuff. Right, And he's like, nah, man. He's like, once a Tantalus has their eye set on a treasure, aka, Zidane's eye on Dagger, you don't stop until you get it. So he's essentially like, no, man, you can't join. You gotta go get the princess, essentially.
Yeah. It's really funny because he's just like, nah, you know what? You don't have any right to be a part of Tantalus. You can't even get this girl, man. Come on. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. But then Vivi comes in, and Vivi just being him, he's just like, man, I really, really want to go see Dagger. Like, I know she cares about you. Let's go see her. And he finally convinces it to go.
Yeah, so now you have Zidane and Vivi. So equip Zidane with anything you want, Angel Bless or any other items. You're good to go there. First, as soon as you get out of the pub, first thing, you'll have another ATE, so make sure you watch it. It's I Forgot, and it basically just goes back to Baku real quick to be like, oh, crap, I forgot to give Zidane the letter, and then he's looking, he's like, I lost it. He doesn't care. He's shaming the HumeNet name. Come on, man, we have standards.
Yeah. I love how he goes, I lost it, and then he just laughs.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well.
Yeah, who cares? Oh, well.
So, yeah, and then you head up to that north part of the square.
Yes.
And you see a little scene where you finally see Freya again, and you see Amaranth, and they're like mean mugging each other as they're passing by, and they're just like, what are you looking at? Who are you? They start getting into a fight.
Yeah, I mean, Zidane comes in, right, and just basically, like, oh, you know each other, blah blah blah. So it kind of gets patched up, especially when he goes to the soldier and is like, look, babe, can you give us a break? And so that helped out. That smoothed things over.
Non
And
soldiers
now
again.
they join the party. So your party right now is Zidane, Freya, Amaranth, and Vivi. And once again, kind of go to Amaranth, equip wherever you probably don't have anything new to equip with him because you're probably still like me working on just getting him caught up. Not only that, now you have Freya. Oh my gosh, does she have a lot to get caught up on as well? And so you just have a bunch of characters that just need to basically just get a ton of AP right now.
Exactly. One thing we forgot to mention too, well, you can still do at this point.
Well, so this is actually when it unlocks now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it doesn't do it earlier.
So if you go back to the weapon shop or the synthesis shop, that kind of area, you go and talk to Bonero, Gennaro, Zanero, blah blah blah. And you get to do like this weird little shuffle game.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. You don't get any items for it, but if you beat it, you get the Lost in the Shuffle trophy, which is really, really hard to get. I mean, I think when I got it on PlayStation, it was like, 2% people had gotten this.
It's really tough.
It's just... Anyways, it's really tough, and basically they all look exactly the same, and it's a shuffle game. So what they'll do is they'll shuffle, one of them will be like,
be the person. Yeah, which one?
Yeah, it'll be like, Bonero, Gennaro, and it'll show you at the very beginning. Then it'll do this crazy shuffling. And I kid you not, towards the end, there is no way that you're going to do this.
No,
without guessing. I mean...
First few you can kind of keep up, but yeah, then it gets to the point where it's impossible.
Yeah, and I showed Mark this because basically one of the things I looked up, I was really trying to get this trophy, and I'll just let you guys know this is kind of a technique that you can do. So if you're playing on PlayStation, and I'm pretty sure on Steam this isn't that difficult either, take a video clip of the shuffling process, and then when you go back, play the video clip on like half speed, quarter speed, and then you'll be able to see which one it is.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
The only way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So make sure you do that if you do want the trophy, achievement, whatever, because this is the only time. And essentially, again, you have to have Zidane in order to do it. So that's why you couldn't do it with Vivi. They only will respond to Zidane doing it. So we do have a few more things to do in Alexandria, if you can believe it. So before we finish it off, let's do our seed trivia. All right, Alex is still just continuing his role here. We are on his rank 22 quiz.
Oh.
And if that gives you an indication, we're at 26 episodes and he's at rank 22. So I've not been able to stop him that much, but here we go. Let's try this one. We're going to start off in Final Fantasy IX. And you cannot access the menu while on ladders or really anything you're climbing.
Oh. I believe that's true.
All right, our next one, Final Fantasy XIII. The scouting party paradigm is a sentinel, sab, and medic.
And if you just did like all 13 questions,
I know.
I think that's true.
All right, our next one is in Final Fantasy X. You're gonna love this one, man. All right, during the notorious ha 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 section, when Yuna joins Tidus with it and they do it together, there are 7 ha's.
Seriously?
Yep.
Wow, that's a good question. How's it go? Ha 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 ha.
Hey,
I'm gonna say false.
no practicing.
I know, right?
All right. Final Fantasy VII. When you're at Costa del Sol and you go to the beach, the umbrellas are striped red and white.
False.
All right, our next question, Final Fantasy VIII. I was figuring you're probably gonna get this one, so we'll see. If you card mod the Anaconda card, it goes to Venom Fanes.
Just one? One Venom Fang?
Yes.
True.
All right, Final Fantasy X-2. The Tiara gives plus 10 to magic and magic defense.
Oh. False.
All right, our last one is in Final Fantasy XII. The Marlborough Keen is only found in the Silica wood.
Oh man. Yeah, I think so. True.
All right, let's recap it, man. Our first question was in Final Fantasy IX, and it was about you cannot access the menus during ladders or anything climbing. You said true, and that is true. I was just testing it out. I picked up the 2 cards, right there in the steeple, and I was like, let me check them out. But I was on the ladder. I was like, crap, I got to get down first.
Nope.
So.
Yeah.
All right, our next question was the Final Fantasy XIII Scouting Party Paradigm. You said true, and it is false. It's not a Sentinel, it's Commando. So it's Commando, Sab, and Medic. Can't believe you got that one wrong,
I don't
man.
know those at all, man. Jeez.
All right, the ha question, Final Fantasy X. So there are 7 ha's. You said false. It is true. I rewatched it. I watched it again. I played it. I was like, yep, it's ha.
Okay. Should have known that.
You should have. You should have that memorized. All right. The umbrellas at Costa del Sol. You said false, and it is false. They are not striped red and white.
Blue and white.
They are blue and white.
I'm so surprised I remember that.
I'm surprised you remember that too.
Yeah, oh man, I played that game too much.
Yeah. All right, the Anaconda card mods into 1 Venom Thane. You said true, it is true. You got that one.
Nice.
The Tiara gives plus 10 magic and magic defense. You said false, and it is false. It's not 10, it's 5.
5.
Yep. And then the last one we had for the Marble Keen is only found in Silica wood. You said true, and it is... It's true. You got it, man. Yes. So, you missed 2, and you passed! I can't get you!
Definitely getting tougher, though.
Yeah. But hey, it doesn't matter. You're still getting them, man, so right on. Well, rank 22 achieved, my man. You got it.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's finish off Alexandria and also see what's next after that. So at this point, really, I mean, do your last minute shopping, anything else. If you've done everything that we've gone over to this point, there really isn't anything else to do. And so all you need to do is just take that boat at those docks to go to the castle. Again, remember where everyone's tagging along, we want to go see Dagger. And so, well, actually, before we get to the castle itself, there is actually quite a few things. So you do have a lapis lazuli? I don't know. Am I saying
lazuli?
Lazuli, yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's right behind the fountain. So, as you get to the boat, there's that kind of middle fountain. If you go up behind it, get that. It's the only one you've gotten so far, so that's pretty cool. Another accessory, no surprise there.
Not anything special with it.
I think it's got accuracy plus.
Accuracy plus, yeah, and then it's a gem, so it doesn't have like any big stat boosts or anything like that. So,
but there's that. If you go to the east tower, it's locked. You can't go through there. So go to the west tower. You may have remembered this is kind of like the Knights of Pluto. Usually they like to hang out around there. There's the gate. You can now go into that door. Before they were blocking it. Last time we were here, the Tantarian time and stuff, they were blocking. You can go into it now. Please do, because that is where our next Leo Stelazio coin is. So,
nice.
It's kind of like in the top right corner. Just follow the wall. You'll find it. Yeah, at this point, just kind of go to the castle gates. You will get a nice little scene with Steiner basically kicking out Aiko. Remember, they don't know each other, right? So Steiner doesn't know who she is. Just found her hanging out. Kicked her out, and
he literally does. Like, he throws her, right? And she's just like, "This is no way to treat a lady."
Yeah. Well, he says something about her. She's being loud and all this stuff, and Amarant was even kind of like, "Yeah, totally," agreed with her. And she yelled at him, and he's like, "I hate kids."
Yeah, she's having a little tantrum. She just got thrown out of the castle. She was sitting there hanging for a while by her wings after Baku knocked her off, and then basically the whole gang shows up. So Amaranth, Zidane, Freya, and Vivi, and he's just like, all right, you know what? All of you guys need to get out of here right now because this is the castle and I'm the guard. You can't be here. Vivi steps forward and he's just like, hello, Mr. Steiner.
Well, yeah, and he's like, Master Vivi salutes him, and Yeah, Vivi is Steiner's weak point. He's always been very
Always.
respectful towards Vivi. And so,
Master Vivi.
yeah, Master Vivi. And so Vivi just asks, and he's like, for you, Vivi, sure thing. And so you do get your audience with Dagger, and she's all, dressed up and looking good. And everyone's like, man, she's so beautiful. And Zidane's just sitting there, and they're like, don't you have anything to say? And he's just like,
Yeah, exactly.
no. And Dagger doesn't really say anything either, and so she goes off, and they're like, dude, why didn't you say anything? And that's kind of he's still working through, right? He's still working through. He's like, man, I didn't say anything. I even had a speech, but it would have been a lie. He's like, it's kind of one of those things where, like, I just wanted to wish you luck and all that. Meanwhile, I didn't really feel that way. I don't want to wish you luck and say goodbye and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it's pretty obvious at this point that they're really torn. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Dagger, she's about to be coronated as the queen and everything, and she's got a different role, and she knows that she's no longer going to be able to travel with the group.
Yeah.
And that's actually another good point. Is that at that scene, there's a little exchange between Aiko and Dagger about that,
Yeah.
and Aiko's really upset, and they're basically like, okay, well, how about this? I'll give you one of my jewels, and you give me one of yours. And they're talking about like the
gems,
one of the
right?
jewels, exactly. Like there are these 4 gems. I'm not really sure how to explain them, but anyway, so they do that exchange. It's sort of like a trust thing. It's like, you hold on to this, you hold on to this. Yeah, it's a pretty difficult time for Zidane. He doesn't, he wants to be honest, but again, he kind of can't. So
yeah. And also, yeah, I mean, I actually kind of forgot to mention that whole Aiko exchange and stuff. And you got to think too, because for Aiko and Dagger, like they're the only two that are alike that they know of.
Yeah.
And so that is kind of a big deal, it's like, I'm never going to see you again, all that stuff. And so it's kind of just a not fun situation for everyone, right? I mean, Dagger was with them forever and they went through so much, and now it's kind of like, well, she's going to be a queen. She can't just like leave. She has to do all her stuff. And
exactly.
Yeah. And so after this, it kind of just fades to the, well, it's nighttime and we're at the dock. And so here comes Aiko. She's mad at Zidane just because he's a blockhead, essentially, is what she thinks of him, right? And so she doesn't even want to be there when he shows up because she still assumes that he did get the letter. So off she goes and she hides because she hears someone coming. And then here comes Marcus and Blank. Apparently, they got the letter. It just floated down to them. So Blank's like, dude, the ladies just can't handle me. I'm too good looking, essentially.
This is just such a funny thing because everybody's seen this letter and everybody's assuming that it's about them.
Yeah, for them.
It's directed towards them. So, we know that Beatrix saw it and now Blank has seen it. And yeah, he's just being all cocky about it and like, well, it's because I'm so good looking and everything. Anyway, so as they're sitting there waiting, Steiner shows up on his guard, right?
Yeah, old Rusty comes coming in, and so they go hide on the opposite side. So you got Aiko behind the stairs on the left. Marcus and Blank are hiding on the right. Here comes Steiner. He's patrolling. Lo and behold, he sees a letter too. And so, yeah, so he picked it up, and he doesn't know. He's like, is it meant for me and all that? He's not assuming it was anyone, but then in comes Beatrice, though, and so he read it and is like looking, he's like, Beatrice, and remember, Beatrice thought it was Steiner, and lo and behold, here's just Steiner by chance on patrol here. It's one of those moments, man, where they're just like, Beatrice? Steiner? Beatrice? Meanwhile, Aiko is like thump,
Yeah, and then it's really funny because Marcus he's just like, my nose is bleeding, and then Blank is like, well, then shove your thumb up there.
Yeah, shove your thumb. Like, come on, man, this is good stuff right here. Yeah, they get a little closer. Aiko gets closer. They're like, oh.
Yeah, they're all watching this happen. They're like, wait a minute, do these two got something going on?
Yeah.
No, it's just
and
really
so they
funny.
get closer and closer and closer, and you get a visit from Dr. Love. He was working his magic, and they're getting closer, and then, achoo! Here comes
Baku. Yeah.
And of course, Aiko lets him have it. It's like, you ruined it. But it's also hysterical if you think about it. Imagine being Steiner and Beatrice. It's one of those moments where, like something's going on, you don't know. And here comes Baku. He ruined the moment, and then everyone just gets up like, "Well, screw this," and they all start walking away. And it's like, where were you all? Like, what the heck?
Yeah, and it's really funny because Beatrix is all embarrassed, kind of, because now
Yeah.
they see that they were all sitting there watching. It's just one of the funniest scenes in the whole game, honestly.
It
I
is,
love that
dude.
part.
It
The
is.
music and everything.
Yep. It's fantastic. Everyone thinks they're there for love.
Yeah.
And of course, the one person that was meant for Zidane doesn't actually show up. So, anyways, that is Alexandria. Essentially, what happens is I forget where exactly it is, but Aiko and everyone they want to go to Treno. Aiko wants to talk to or Doc Tot wants to talk to Aiko and learn more about her. She's like, yeah, totally, but can we do it at your home? And he's like, that's in Treno. And she's like, awesome, I want to see it. And then Zidane's like, yeah, I want to go too. There's a car tournament, and so that's who you got going. You got Freya, Amarant, Aiko, Vivi, and Zidane. They hop on the Gargant. They get to Treno. And here we are. We're on our way to Treno. But before that happens, there is a forced ATE where you get a couple little stooges again, don't you?
Yeah, and I think, what is this one called? Like Clowns in the Night or something like that,
it's something
right?
like that.
It's a really interesting scene where it, we're all over the place because this is all story stuff, but the ATE takes you back to Alexandria now, and you see Zorn and Thorn out messing around by the statue, and they're... Oh, heck, I haven't seen this ATE in a minute.
So they wanted to go offer their services to Dagger.
That's right, yeah.
As if she forgot that they extracted all the Eidolons from her, right?
Yeah. Now with
But,
Braun out of the picture, they don't have like a leader, so to speak.
Right, yeah, so they're apparently still around. In the AT, Marcus and Blank, they are apparently going to be doing their rounds too to help keep the area safe. Yeah. So that's when Zorn and Thorn are like, you know what, with them around, we probably shouldn't, and so they go off. But it's just you kind of forget about certain characters and stuff, right? And so like, oh yeah, what about Zorn and Thorn? Well, they're still around, so we gotta kind of just keep that in mind.
We haven't seen them in forever.
Yeah, it's been a long time
as well. So they've been hanging about, and they can't do anything without somebody to follow. So
no, well, because they're terrible. We already know that. Anyways,
exactly.
It does go back to Treno. There's a little bit of story here just between, all the characters. Same thing as usual. Everyone's going their separate way for their separate reasons. You do get a glimpse of Zidane's like, Amber, have you been here before? And he doesn't really answer that, and we will know more about that later. But
exactly.
Everyone just, like I said, wants to go their way. Aiko wants Vivi to show her around. Keep in mind, Vivi wasn't here, and so we're like, okay, well, yeah, why'd you choose Vivi? But we already, she doesn't want to really hang out with Zidane anymore right now. She's mad at him. And once you do get control of Zidane, once again, you got to go sign up for the car tournament. That's why you're here. There is a ATE right off the bat that is Aiko Talks Life. And so, again, just make sure you get these ATEs as they pop up. I don't think there are any particular ones again here. They're just, you will unlock them. Just make sure you watch them as you unlock them. It's so that way you can get them all and get that achievement. But all it really is Aiko is just kind of talking to Vivi about how, Zidane and Dagger are too stupid to realize they like each other until they're separated, and little tiny bit out of that, though, is that someone recognizes Vivi.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And this is going to be really interesting. Probably get into that in the next episode.
Yep, exactly. And at that point, you can go ahead and venture out, but we are going to stop there. We're going to leave Treno for the next episode because, once again, lots of action, action and fun stuff to do. So we'll leave that for a full episode. Well, we thank you all for listening and hanging out with us. We hope you're enjoying it as much as we are. As always, make sure to stop by our Instagram, Final Fantasy Talks. We always post screenshots of all the hilarious stuff, so definitely be expecting some of the great ones, the love scene, and all that fun stuff. Yeah, and then also stop off at our website, finalstop4finalfantasytalks.com. That's where our blog posts are. If you're ever interested about the seed questions and I know we kind of go through them, and I know you can go back and listen, but we put them there and the answers as well for you if you're just curious. And there's also the music there and other things as well. So I'm Mark.
I'm Alex.
And this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks.